Alright guys, it is time to talk about the whole C. Oh no! No! No, no, no! No! Stay! No! Oh my god, that's like 50 boxes. Now 4.7s come with a lot of good things like our crafting system, the new inventory rework, new areas and nicks to explore, changes to how we mine, and just the overall experience has grown in a pretty big way. But I'm sure a lot of you have seen that the whole C is quote unquote broken. Now the issues that we're facing in 4.7, these are not the fault of the whole C. The ship on its own works as intended, works really well. They even slipped in the fix to our spindles, so we can actually expand and retract those without having to go to quantum first to sort of get that workaround that we had in the PTU. That said, though the whole C as a ship is functioning well, the back-end systems around auto-loading and stacking are completely broken right now. You've seen this also in the mining space. If you tried to take your refined orders and throw them into your cargo ship to deliver, well, it's stacking boxes on top of boxes, or rather inside of boxes. And when you click on one of those boxes, it spits out or starts to collide with everything else that's on top of it. So this is not a whole C issue. This is a back-end issue. On the hauling side of things, regardless of what you're doing with trading or just auto-loading in general, you're going to have this problem. In your cats, on your rafts, in your C2s, the boxes are going to be like fused together. And this is a pretty big problem. Now, I've done several tests with the whole C where I've been able to take hauling contracts like the experienced 248K contracts with like 2700 SEU, and I can get them to complete. But man, is it a pain. As you saw at the start of this video, a funny moment where one of the last boxes I was trying to hit ended up shooting out 20, 30 boxes. I lost count. They went all over the place, and I had to get out my Golem Ox to sort of fish them all up. At the end of the day, though, after a lot of diligence and carefulness in placing things and trying to catch stuff that was running away, the 12 32 SEU boxes contained all 2700 SEU minus a single one piece that I thought at one point was going to fly off. I managed to catch it, and we got a full turn in, guys. We're able to get this mission completely turned in. So the freight elevators and the loading side manually are fine. So, you know, in that sense, if you want to run the whole C and you're okay with manually loading and offloading, it doesn't take as long as you might think. You know, that 2700 SEU manually loaded would probably be about 20 minutes. Same with the offload. And this is important to recognize because it means like you do have a backup if you really want to run this ship. Now, until they fix the stacking and autolog bugs that we're all experiencing right now, it is going to be probably a lot more pain than it is fun. So it might be time to put our hauling ships aside for the most part until the stacking problem is resolved, hopefully in the next 4.7 patch or whatever comes when the whole B comes out. Because I tell you what, man, you don't want to release the whole B with these kinds of issues. Trading has some other issues we'll get into in a second. But bottom line is, the ship itself, the whole C, works like it's always worked. The back-end auto-loading and stacking issues, probably one of the reasons we lost stack all, is this source of our woes, and this goes beyond the whole C. Again, especially when it comes to trading, you're going to have a lot of these same problems we're about to talk about on any ship that you try to haul with. So when it comes to your mining orders, it's best to put them into your freight elevator at the station, then manually load them onto your ships, whatever your ship may be. Same when it comes to trading or hauling in any of our ships, Cat, C2s, Rafts, Taurus, whatever, whole C. Manual is going to be the way to go because doing the auto stacking stuff is going to cause a lot of chaos. If that isn't your cup of tea, then just wait until that's fixed, then we can come back to this at a later date. Now, getting into trading is a little different. So I was under the impression that the docking callers were seeing our ships now, well, at least the whole C. And it is the case that it does that sometimes. It's not consistent. I was able to actually trigger an auto load from it seeing my ship docked when we were initially trying this out. And again, the autoload worked well. All the carbon ended up on the ship in the right spot. However, when I arrived over at Terra to do my selling of this cargo, I, have to go in first to interact with admin. So I docked the whole C. We head up to admin and lo and behold, nothing shows up. Annoying. So we have to backtrack to the whole C to go manually offload this stuff at the freight elevator at Terra Gateway, which, 16 SEU, not bad, doesn't take very long. We throw it all on the grid, we run inside, and wouldn't you know, and when you look at the admin terminal, it shows the whole C selectable by the freight elevator. So I know what you're thinking, and we'll get to that. But first, the other big pain in the ass that is also part of this back-end stacking problem is that you can't sell more than one individual unit of a box without you getting that annoying invalid quantity error code that pops up on your screen. So if you guys have been seeing this, what you have to do is sell a box at a time. So if you've got a couple of 2s and 4s, 8s, 32s, whatever it is, you have to make sure you select to send one of those down at a time, and it'll give you the success, and you'll have sold it. But if you try to do multiples, it will just give you that invalid quantity error. It's annoying, and it's also kind of counterintuitive how to make it to where you can select your boxes sometimes. You have to like click on the actual screen a few times to get that to pop up, and then down select to one box. And if you're trying to trade at like Hull C volumes, that is going to take forever. That's about as bad as having to manually load and offload. You got to sell each box one at a friggin' time until you're actually done with your order. So in that sense, trading is pretty tough right now. And this, again, is not just the Hull C. This goes across the board because you're going to encounter this invalid quantity error code no matter the ship you're dealing with. I had this problem when I was trying to sell refined ore just over at a TDD on Aorus. I could only sell individual boxes. So once they've got this sort of back-end stacking system fixed and the autoload system fixed, our lives will get a lot better. We'll be getting back to the way it was. Hopefully, these updates will come with the Hull B coming out in about a week or less. Actually, probably at the end of this week or start of next week. I guess we'll see. But right now, unfortunately, hauling and trading is just a royal pain in the ass. It is what it is. We go through these one step forward, two step back, two step forward, one step back sort of ebb and flows when it comes to these updates with Star Citizen. I think that everything we got out of 4.7 is worth the troubles that came with it. And of course, those troubles will be addressed and fixed as they normally are. It might just take a little bit of time, so we just got to be a little patient. But getting back to the detection of the ship thing outside of the freight elevator, I did a little bit more testing because I wanted to see if maybe that was consistent. So we got another order. We got about, I want to say 16 med supplies, if I'm remembering correctly. We bought that over at Terra. We got to go sell it at Nix. So we managed to autoload everything on just fine. There was nothing collided on one another or fused or whatever inside those boxes. They were on the spindle as one would expect. So awesome. Let's head over to Nix Gateway and see what happens. So upon arrival, we stop at the freight elevator. We run inside, no ship. Well, my buddy Kuza had the idea, let's see what happens if you take one box off of the Hull C and send it down the elevator and see if maybe that makes the station recognize your Hull C's proximity to the elevator. So we tried that. Meanwhile, back and forth, running between admin and external freight elevator 19 to do these tests, and lo and behold, nothing. So we came to the conclusion that the detection of your Hull C outside of the station is basically RNG. You might be seen at a docking collar, probably won't be when it's at the maximum inconvenience for you. Same when it comes to the freight elevators. And also on top of all of that, if you try to store the ship to make it recognize that way, you will find yourself with an extended, glitched Hull C spawned in a large hangar, bringing us back to the problems that started with, I think, 4.4. Now that is probably one of the only actual Hull C issues that we legitimately have, and that for the most part you can avoid unless you get impounded or you forget, do something silly, and store your Hull C while you still have some cargo on the spindles. As long as you store your Hull C collapsed like you see on the screen here now, you're good. Outside of all of this, guys, is it workable? Does it play? Does it function? Yes. You just have to bend around a bit to make it work. Mostly manually load and offload when it comes to doing your contracts. With that said, I think trading is far more valuable right now than doing the actual contracted hauling missions just because of the box collision issue and just the sheer quantity you're dealing with. Because when it comes to trading, you can make a pretty good profit. I mean, we made, I want to say about 440K off of the one run of med supplies from Terra to Nix. Well, we would have. Granted, I was only able to sell about half of it before the station had filled up, so you just got to wait for it to cycle or whatever. So keep an eye on, quantities of what you're buying and selling. But dealing with, 12, 16, shit, even 20 to 30 boxes versus dealing with a full 144 32s or however many of whatever size box you can fit on the Hull C, trading makes that easier because you can choose to kind of go for your profit margins, make a few 100,000 every trip, still make some pretty mad money. You're just doing a lot more by hand. I would probably wait for the most part, or at least do smaller orders, maybe out of your ships like your Rafts, Hermes, Tauruses, your Cats and your C2s even, because the individual box selling to not get the invalid quantity error at the admin terminal is probably the biggest chokehold in the frustration pool there, because we're already kind of used to, a lot of us, manually throwing boxes around, so that's not too insane. But I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. I just wanted to pop in, give my 2 cents after some diligent testing, being one of your trusted Hull C captains alongside awesome folks like SC Haulers, Saxawine. I know he's done some videos on this as well. Check out his content too if you haven't. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you think this is going to get fixed by the time the Hull B comes out here real soon, I really hope so, because it's a part of this game loop, and I want to see it working, as I'm sure plenty of you do. Thanks so much for your time. I'll catch you guys out in the verse. Take care.